All right, this is Stock Sectors. I'm going to do this on a regular basis. As I go through 400 different symbols every single week, things will be popping out at me, and this will be part of the members section in the new Ask Slim website. So I hope you will be a subscriber and take a look at everything we have to offer. That'll be tools for text, trader psychology, and all of the other important segments that you have seen here in the past. So lots of stuff coming, and I think you will enjoy it all. Let's get into the stock sectors now as we look at some of the things that I think are important based on some of the news events that have been moving the markets recently. We have, China coming apart almost in what they measure as a bear market. Big declines going over there. And we've had a lot of pressure here on the European markets as they have been looking at this Greek situation there, and this is a big weekend for Greece, big meeting coming on Saturday, and the European markets have felt some pressure from that. There's an interesting time here when we look at cyclical patterns and charts. Often what happens is a synchronicity of peaks and of lows. Lows show a little bit more easily when we look at cyclical patterns. I think you're going to see that here when we look at it. This Greek situation is coming to a head right now, and these European charts are going to show us something that looks interesting and potentially a long side opportunity. We're going to start out by looking at the BRICS, emerging markets, Asian markets, Mexico, and then we will look at 5 European markets. We're looking at weekly charts and at ETFs. So have a lot of stuff in here to look at. This won't be a real long segment. I think you'll find a lot of information here that is valuable. So we're going to start out by looking at Brazil. We'll move this chart over again, weekly chart, and there is the Brazilian chart. Remember, this has really, they came apart. They had a lot of things going on that were shaking up markets there in Brazil. Petrobras had a big scandal and big trouble that they had over there, and of course that brought a very, very large decline. But I want you to see the cyclicality in this market, as down over here it shows you the rises and falls in the cyclical patterns. Those are called cycle brackets, and normally when you have a big decline like this, you could see the downside channel that it was in, and then you get a rally. Look at that, comes up and tests 34-week moving average, rolls over, and these lines over here point to the time period a bottom is due, which is in the early part of July. And you can see that we have what's called a basing cycle formed in here. In other words, it's not challenging this low, and when it does that, it says to you that it's potential for an important base being built. Once you get into this rising phase over here, then essentially you start to build an upward channel. So we're looking like we're in the final phases of the decline here in Brazil. And this Brazil, now make a note in here, in the next couple of weeks, looks like it's going to make an important bottom. Right now, you can see a bear flag that's formed, and that says after this decline and this little bear flag that there's likely to be one more little hit in here, and that's probably going to be our buying opportunity in Brazil. So we're going to go through the rest of these BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and then we'll jump right into Mexico. So next one we're going to look at is Russia. Here is RSX. And you will see that that again is another one that's looking like a bottom forming. So here you can see, of course, Russia has had huge problems, and that had the big decline. But here is that basing cycle in here that's formed, and then getting ready to move on the upside again. So you can see this pattern in here suggesting upside coming. Look at each of these bottoms as they formed in here. Some of them, as the market was very weak, didn't get you much rally. And so here is this bottom right in here. You could see that it got a bad rally, and when it broke under that level, that was very negative, and you could see what happened after that. But now you have this positive pattern forming, and what it looks like is that, well, the next rally is going to get you above this level right over here. That is 21, and that is a high probability based on this bullish pattern forming. So good looking chart there in Russia. We'll take a look at India. That's EPI, and Russia was RSX. Here is EPI, and here's another one of these patterns forming that is bullish. Notice that this was where the support area is, right across here, and look where it got to. This cycle that you could see forming right in here, the advance and decline, that's this right here, and the bottom's due in this period. This is a bullish chart again, and it says that, see that rally right there? That might have meant that we already have had the bottom and it's turning up. I've been bullish on India. Now, I think that it's likely to get back to the top of this big broadening pattern that's forming in there, and that's a rally back up to this level here. So India is looking pretty good. So there are three of the bricks that look like important bottoms, and here is China. China actually a much different pattern and much worse. There's a lot of cyclical patterns going on in here, so I know the chart looks confusing and messy, but I want you to see this big pattern right over here. That's this advance and this modest correction here. Then the next rally, see two different cycles pushing up. When you get that, you often get big rallies right there. Here's where they were both pushing up together and you got that big rally. So where are we right now? Well, these patterns have turned down in China. We have their, what seemingly like their real estate bubble having popped. And you could see this pattern, see this blue line right over here? That's this pattern suggesting a decline into August. That's how I have that right in here drawn. And then a fake rally and then another decline after that. So we look like we're going to continue to be weak here in China. China does not look like a buy to me at all. So that is a look at what the bricks look like. Now what we want to do is take a look at the rest of these, and again I think that we're going to see a lot of synchronicity here in these patterns as we get ready to see bottoming in a lot of these equities. I've talked about this in the United States also, and talked about the fact that I'm expecting another move on the upside there, and I think that we're seeing these alignment of bottoms that is setting us up for that. So now what we're going to do is switch over. There is China again, and we're going to look at the emerging markets. That's EEM. Get that to move over here, and look at that. You know, every time you see these blue timing spikes, it's telling you where an important low is due. And so we saw this big decline into this period. Now when you get an alignment of cycles nesting and pushing down this way, you get pretty big declines. Look at this one right here. Here's the same thing right over here, and you got that big decline right there. Interesting, this one here, because the rally lasted so long, it only got you a minor decline, and then when these turned up, you got that big rally. So that shows you how the cycle patterns can really give you great signals. Right now the signal is a bottom likely forming. Now we tried to get a rally in there and it's pulling back, but I would expect that we're going to get some bottoming occurring and another move up. We'll switch over to Japan right now. That's Japan. I was going to say /6J, but that's the Japanese yen. EWJ is the pattern, is the symbol for the Japanese market. And there you will see that ETF right there, EWJ. This is interesting, and that is that you had this pattern right over here, which brought you significant rally, and only a minor decline there. But then it rallied again. That's in this rising phase, and you started to get sell warnings. This is almost a bearish dark cloud cover. This is an evening star and an abandoned baby on a week. Man, that's pretty bad. You see it tried to rally this week and failed. I think this is turning over already, and that Japan is going to continue to have issues in here. That does not look good to me. Let's take a look at Korea, EWY, and there's another one of these that are bottoming. Boy, a lot of synchronicity, as we call this, in these symbols, in these countries. That says this decline is ending, and we're about to get into a rally phase over here. Again, I'm looking for equities to have a little better time of it in these, we'll call it the next month or so, and that should give a lift to U.S. markets. Here's EWW, and that is not a good pattern at all. So EWW is Mexico. Of course, Mexico is pretty related to the price of oil. See this pattern right in here. It gave you that and then gave you another rally, and it failed underneath that dotted line. That is a bad pattern, and what it says to me is that we're getting something like a downturn in this pattern where it's see this underneath the 34-week moving average. Something like this right in here is going on. You can see how this formation helps you and how important it is to do the enveloping. You get a real sense of direction that way. So Mexico does not look very good to me. Now here's what another, we're going to get into these last 5 in this as we look at these ETFs and country sectors. And here we'll take a look at the UK first. Now you can see there are 2 cyclical patterns in here going on, and that is a small one right here, and let me draw that in for you. You could see that right in here, and then the bigger one right there. So those 2 together make up this bigger pattern. They are both bottoming right at this point. They both bottomed right over here, and you got a pretty good rally. In this case, a bear market had formed. So when they both bottomed here, you got a minor rally, but that when it broke under here, it set up this long decline right there. Here's another point where they both bottomed together, and you got a big spike on the upside. So mostly when you get this type of formation, you're going to get a pretty good move to the upside, and this looks to me like the UK is bottoming. So we're going to see the synchronicity here in these groups. That was the UK. Here is Germany, the same thing going on for it as its cyclical pattern. I'm going to let's envelope this whole thing. You can see this big pattern right in here and how that matches the cycle on the bottom, and you'll see this big pattern right over here and how that matches this big cycle on the bottom, and then they are turning up right over here. So we're getting a look like also Germany and the UK together getting ready to make a good size move on the upside. Next thing here that we have is France, EWQ. This one already looks like it bottomed right in the perfect time period. Here is EWP, which is Spain. That one looks like it's bottomed also. Beautiful synchronicity here in these patterns. And the last one here is EWI, which is Italy, and that one looks like it's bottomed already. As a matter of fact, it made a higher high getting above this level. It didn't hold it this week, but you have these 2 cycles pushing up, as we've seen in all of these ETFs here in the Eurozone. And so this pattern to me here looks like it's moving up like that again. So this is a pretty good look at what we are seeing here in these country ETFs. I want to say that this is a special segment that I'm sharing out there with everybody again, and this will be in our members section, which will be in just a couple of weeks when we have that up. And I think that there's going to be unbelievably good information in there, as many of you seen me put out for 3.5 years. So that is the special today. This will live in the members section, and we'll be adding to that as we go. In the next couple of weeks, I'll be sending out a lot of specials that would normally be in the member section, because I want you all to see what's going to be there. So that's it.